The chat room. All right, Kai, I'm starting. So you can't crinkle and crackle and crinkle the. Thank you. Try not to, please. Hello, everyone. It is live. We are here yet again to talk about science. Okay, the show is live, so we can jump right to it. Beginning in 3, 2. This is TWIS. This Week in Science, episode number 690, recorded on Wednesday, October 3rd, 200. I can't speak. Okay, starting over. What year is it anyway? Oh, it's Wednesday. 3, 2. This is TWIS. This Week in Science, episode number 690, recorded on Wednesday, October 3rd, 2018. Getting hormonal with science. I'm Dr. Kiki, and tonight we are going to fill your heads with a toxic environment, PDA, and old teeth. But first,
disclaimer. My calendar says it's time for science. So we'll be talking about science news with Kiki, Justin, and our guest, Susanne. You'll notice some of these voices are female. In fact, the majority are. And it should go without saying that female voices deserve to be heard. So without further ado, let's talk about things that matter with people that matter, because everyone matters. And we're excited to talk about something that is scientific, fun, enlightening, and true. On This Week in Science, coming up next.
I've got the kind of mind that can't get enough. I want to learn everything. I want to fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I want to know what's happening. What's happening? What's happening this week in science? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening this week in science?
Good science to you, Kiki and Blair.
and a good science to you too, Justin, Blair, and everyone out there. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Science. We are back yet again to talk about all the science that happened in the last week, to distract you from things that might also be on your mind, to bring some light and levity to the world, or at least some logic and rationality. Moving on into the show, I am very excited to say we have lots of stories ahead. I have news stories about the climate crisis. Maybe that's not light and
But important.
But important. Yeah, okay. Some awards, some little awards, and a challenge to the standard model. We also have a guest to talk with us all about our toxic environment. And Justin, what did you bring?
I've got some Neander teeth and some ancient cuisine.
All righty. And Blair, what is in the animal corner?
Oh, I have some public displays of affection, aka PDA. I have cats versus rats, and I have the sound of algae.
The sound of what? Algae.
You'll have to stay tuned to find out.
Listen up, everyone. You gotta. It's going to be a very quiet story.
That's what you think.
The cacophonous world of algae to come. But before we get there, before we get to those old teeth working on some kinds of old meals, before we get to climate crises, we have an interview. And before we jump into that, I would like to remind you that if you have not yet subscribed to This Week in Science, you can do so easily or find information about how to do so by heading over to TWIS.org. Also looking for This Week in Science everywhere good podcasts are found. Now, I would love to introduce our guest, Dr. Susanne Brander. She is an ecotoxicologist working as an assistant professor in the Department of Environmental and Molecular Toxicology at Oregon State University in Corvallis, Oregon. She also has an adjunct position in the Department of Biology and Marine Biology at the University of North Carolina, bi-coastal here. According to her lab website, the Brander Lab's research encompasses the fields of toxicology, endocrinology, and ecology, integrating molecular approaches with measurements at the organism and population levels. Our main focus is on the effects of stressors, such as emerging pollutants, plastics, and changing climate on aquatic organisms, but our work spans the link between ecological and human health. Dr. Brander, welcome to This Week in Science. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
And thank you so much for having me. I hope I can talk a little bit about all of those things in the brief time we have. I'm very excited to be a part of this tonight.
We are excited to have you here as well. I know that you did your graduate work at UC Davis, as did I, fellow alumni.
Small world.
Yes, it is a small world and a wonderful place to spend some scientific time for a while. Can you talk a little bit about how you ended up getting interested in toxicology and the environment and putting these pieces together into your current career?
Sure. Well, growing up, I was always one of those kids who was sort of made fun of a little bit for being a tree hugger and worried about, what seemed like silly things to other people, like fish, pollution getting into the water. And I was the one reminding my parents to turn the water off when they brushed their teeth so they wouldn't waste too much, all those sorts of things. And then I ended up eventually turning that into a bachelor's degree and a master's degree focused in environmental science. And I went to work for a little while after that at a consulting firm that was mostly tasked with figuring out whether municipalities that were putting effluent into rivers or estuaries were doing so safely. And so they would send us their water and we would test it with fish and other organisms. And it was a lot of kind of following pretty procedural, testing. There wasn't a lot of room for creativity. And so I decided that I wanted to go back for a PhD. And that's really what kind of, those things happening together kind of motivated me to go into the direction I'm going now. And I was lucky enough to end up at UC Davis at the Bodega Marine Lab with a wonderful advisor there, who he's now the director there. And the rest is kind of history in a way. But I think if you would have asked me when I was in high school if I was going to be an aquatic or ecotoxicologist, I would have looked at you and said, what on earth is that? But after a number of years kind of going in that direction, here I am.
I love how you said that you went into research to get out of testing and research because you didn't have that creativity to it. I love that.
Well, yeah, I think I felt a little bit stuck because it was, I was doing research, but I wasn't getting to create any of the ideas or influence any of the direction of the research. I was just I was handed a cookbook and, okay, run these tests this way. This is what you do every day. When you're done, you do it again the next day. And so, I want to be the one who gets to think about how this could be done better. And so that inspired me to go back for a PhD.
And now you are asking some pretty big questions and doing some very important research. I'd love to know, let's talk about endocrine disruptors. So ecotoxicology, a big focus of your work are endocrine disruptors. Can you explain what they are to our audience?
Sure. So endocrine disrupting chemicals they come from many different classes of chemicals. They can be pharmaceuticals, they can be pesticides, they can be industrial chemicals. I'm sure everyone's heard of bisphenol A and has a bottle that says bisphenol A free on the bottom of it. But they're chemicals that get into the water, often, probably usually by accident, and they are they're able to disrupt our endocrine system, which is a system that's controlled by hormones. So when most people think of hormones, they think of things like estrogens or testosterone, or maybe even cortisol, the stress hormone. But they're chemicals that are either designed to mimic those hormones or they mimic them by accident. So bisphenol A, for example, is a good example of an endocrine disruptor that interferes with estrogen. it's similar enough to estrogen that your body, your cells can't tell the difference. And this is happening from humans to lower organisms.
Oh. Oh no, we've got a little crash. Hopefully she comes back here in just a moment. Sometimes Wi-Fi decides that it doesn't want to play nicely, even though it plays wonderfully during the tests.
That is one of those things too that I isn't ever the first thing to occur to me. You know, when we're talking about the bisphenol A in the bottled waters or the contact with receipts, I always just think of the human health aspect of this. But of course, we humans are not that divergent from all other life forms on the planet, to which estrogen doesn't also play a role, and therefore synthetic estrogen becoming an endocrine disruptor doesn't play a significant role everywhere else that this thing travels. So
I know we're trying to fill dead space for a moment. It's okay. It's okay to have dead space, because you know what happens to the podcast? It gets edited. It does get edited. She was giving a wonderful answer to what endocrine disruptors are. Let's see if I can email her or text her.
Yeah, if you
fill it with shots of tequila. What?
If you kick her, oh yeah, I was gonna say if you boot her from it, at least she'll know that she's been dropped, but she left.
And so did Justin.
Oh no.
I'm still here.
Turning off his camera so that he can.
Did your backdrop fall down?
No, I just had to pick my nose.
Oh.
Still doing it.
Uh-huh.
Still, it's gonna be a while.
Okay. Digging for gold, I see.
Yeah,
Wait, you can find gold this way?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Let's see. Where should we have her start if she comes back? Hopefully she comes back. Hopefully she comes back. Otherwise, we just do a shorter show, huh?
Yeah.
I can do a story. I got one ready to roll.
Well, if she comes back in the middle of it, then
She'll get to enjoy a wonderful story.
she'll enjoy a wonderful story. I know she's going to come back. I know she's going to come back.
Yeah. In an attempt to fill some more dead space, I will tell you in relation to the BPA thing, I have a very particular memory, which is my chemistry class in high school. And this is still in the days of like, take a disposable water bottle everywhere you go. Reusable water bottles, they didn't exist. It was just, my parents would get the 64 pack of the single-use water bottles at Costco, and you took those to school every day, because before that, people didn't carry water around. Like bottled water changed that, right? But so that was my life. And of course, trying to be eco-friendly, my mom is cleaning and rinsing and reusing these single-use water bottles. No. And then in the, early 2000s, we find out, not good for you. Right. And in fact, it could affect female fertility. If you have these water bottles, you're heating them up in hot water to wash them. Right. And then filling it with cold water and then taking it to school and drinking it all day.
The heat is a release factor.
And so then we got our reusable water bottles. We thought we were safe. And then when I was in college, we found out that the reusable plastic water bottles also had this stuff in it.
Yeah, lining.
And when you've been putting it in the dishwasher to clean it, or when you leave it in the backseat of your car and it's heating up and then cool. And I have this. I think all the time about how future generations aren't going to remember things before certain discoveries like the internet. Like I was just talking to someone the other day about this experience I had as a kid that, I had to find a book to find the answer. And I was like, gosh, people won't even understand what that means soon, that you have to like wait to go to a library or buy a book to find an answer to a question. Like that's insane to me.
So are you old enough to have used one of the phones that you could only make calls on and was connected by a wire to the wall at all times?
Yeah. I didn't have a cell phone until I went to college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
fact, I borrowed my parents' pager when I was going to be out late.
Yeah.
She's back.
I'm back.
Oh no, crashing again.
Oh, no.
What's happening? You know, this is typical. We test the day before to try to check and make sure everything works, and then of course, and everything works fine, and then the day of, the internet decides it's not going to play nicely.
We were chatting for even like 20 minutes before
I know.
the show and during the beginning.
No problem at all.
What a bummer.
Yeah. I keep hoping that it'll just come back. Should I eject her again?
Yeah, I think so.
Sad.
Sorry, Suzanne.
Come back, Suzanne,
Come
please.
Come back.
Am I sure I want to eject her? No, but I will. This is so upsetting.
Mulligan.
No. Come back.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my story.
The bottles. And
This thing happened like very clear
and
points.
there have been articles since then talking about these the replacements for BPA are not good either.
So it sounds like we should be drinking pure water straight from a stream, right? Is that what you're telling me?
That's right.
And stop using so much butter and oil. Instead, let's coat our pans with something non-stick like Teflon.
Yeah,
that'll save us. If that was
yeah.
up.
I was just frying some eggs the other day, and I noticed that there were some divots in my Teflon, and I was like, "This is gonna kill me."
Yeah. Why are you still using Teflon? Stop.
Because it's
Buy
easier
a
to
new
clean.
pan. No. Get the what I'm using. It's going to be poisonous in 5 years, but right now it's safe.
Yeah.
It's that's copper ceramic stuff. Yeah, it's awesome.
As seen on TV.
As seen on as is half my kitchen. You could also see half my kitchen utensils on TV.
Are you that guy that like tries to open a bag of chips and the chips go everywhere and you're in black and white and then a big red X goes over you?
That's how I live.
Does this ever happen to you?
This happens to me every time. Yeah. Why can't they make a bag that just opens anymore?
Try scissors. Available now for only 4 easy payments of $19.99.
So I bought the scissors. The thing is, you get the scissors. They come in this plastic packaging
that you need scissors to open.
You cannot open. There's no way to. So you have to go. Then I'm in with the garden shear, which thankfully was already open. I'm in there with the garden shears trying to get it open. And I realized I got to use this on the dang bag of chips in the first place. I didn't need the scissors.
Yeah, that's true. Oh no.
All right, so I got a story.
Oh, Kiki's on the phone.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, finish your call first.
She's talking to her on the phone. How's your day, Justin? You do some science?
I did the 3 days of intensive sciencey stuff.
Nice.
Couple more to go.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun.
I brought animals to a preschool today.
Oh, nice. That sounds like fun.
And I observed my new intern teaching. And she got checked off. Boop. So she's good to teach preschool lessons now.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I'm really excited.
I brought an animal to a kindergarten.
Oh, yeah?
Today.
What's that?
My 5-year-old daughter.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love telling kids that they're animals because they all go, no, we're not. And it's funny. They'll do that at 5 years old and they'll do it at 18.
Oh wow.
We'll go,
No,
no, we're not.
my
Like,
5-year-old will say yes, and that
Yeah.
she's a jaguar.
Oh, she's playing a different game.
And, yeah, and she came to school. I didn't catch it until we got to school. She had, like the plastic vampire fangs.
Uh-huh.
She had those in her pocket. We walked to school. Right as she's walking into the class, she pops them in. I'm like, "What is that?" And she shows me. Like, but she's going into school, like, just gonna see if somebody notices that she has vampire teeth.
So our guest, it looks as though the internet has failed her entire neighborhood.
Oh no.
Yeah, they've tried to reset their router a couple of times and it's just not coming back. Something has died in her neighborhood. She's going to try to rejoin using her iPhone, but I'm not sure that's possible. I don't know if that is doable. We will see if she can. And so if she doesn't join in the next few minutes, I think we're probably going to call the interview a bust for this evening, but we will invite her back again to actually discuss this topic because it is something that we are all interested in.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. You know what this is, don't you?
Compounds in our environment. This is the man.
It's the deep state. It's the deep state silencing strong female voices. That's what it is. No, I'm kidding.
No, let's not go too crazy here. It's the Illuminati's taking advantage of the end of net neutrality. That's okay.
Right.
I did wonder that today. I was trying to send a photo to someone in a text message thread and it wouldn't send for an hour. And I had service. I was like, am I being throttled?
Yeah, I think that every once in a while with the Netflix, which will all the other internet stuff will be working, and Netflix, which never failed in the past, will just refuse to play a movie. And I'm like, that's they're starting to throttle. And of course they pick Netflix because that's who they're like, they're using all the bandwidth, man. We're not getting paid. Well, that's how
that's how they sound?
Yeah, that's how they sound.
That's how they sound.
I mean, if that's how they sound, I feel like they'd be way more laid back about it.
Yeah, you would think that.
That's the Jerry Garcia, man.
There is exciting stuff to come. California has passed a law, the strongest net neutrality laws in the nation. But there are court hearings. The federal government is now, because of the FCC, they're going up against these net neutrality, this new net neutrality law in California. But if, who knows? Some people say that California doesn't have a leg to stand on. Some people say that the FCC doesn't have a leg to stand on. We will see what happens. And it could end up being one of these state by state basis things. But
to the honorable gentlemen, congressmen and senators from North Dakota, Kansas, Missouri, until you get internet, like, don't vote on this stuff. Just stay the heck out of it. You don't even have internet yet, and you're like trying to change the system. Like, just
they have internet. They have internet.
No, they have satellite. That's not the same.
That's right. Satellite.
It's like a one-way internet. That's like a one-way phone call. Gosh. It's like you can call them and talk to them, or they can call you and talk to you, but you can't say anything back. That's what that is. All right.
Well, let's see. So what this doesn't look like Susanne is joining us. So our episode of Poop Creek. Yes, thank you for that, Wall Street Tech. In the YouTube chat, Wall Street Tech says Poop Creek does exist. I grew up next to a dead river that used to catch fire. Not to mention the blind carp. First fish caught in 25 years. Oh my, exogenous estrogen-like substance in the water. Oh my, talk about an endocrine disruptor. Anyway, we will be discussing this topic at a later time. I will try and reschedule with Dr. Brander. Hope maybe during TWIS. If it doesn't work out during TWIS, maybe sometime separately. I don't know. Maybe in the next couple of days I can interview her and be able to stick the interview into the show for the podcast version. If we do, maybe I'll interview her and we'll have the video as a separate thing. if we can get the internet to work for her. Fingers crossed. So, should we move on and have a show since it is 8:30? So I guess it's time for a break.
Yeah.
Be right back, everybody.
Thank you for watching so far. Stay tuned for more This Week in Science.
Can't explain things you've heard with more than intuition. A lot of research shows the way to go. New conclusion. The methods of hypothesis and patience are the only things I need. Put on a pair of goggles and go looking for the things I couldn't see. The answers lie somewhere within this sky.
Okay, I'm just wondering, she has internet again. Should we reschedule or try and get her on right now? Vote. I don't know if the internet will stay on. She will call in from work to avoid the problem. Yeah, let's reschedule. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going because then I'll be able to get my child to bed at some point. Because
Do you want me to reply to her email while you're doing this, or do you want me to do this and you can reply to the email?
I'll do this. I'm just saying, let's reschedule. I texted her. There we
Okay,
go.
good.
Ta-da! There we go. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to this episode of This Week in Science. We do appreciate you joining us every week because we do this every week. We come here to talk about science with you, with each other, to share our wonder for the world, to inspire curiosity, to ask questions and hope that you ask more, right? Let's keep it going. This is kind of the pay it forward of the science world. Let's see how far we can take these messages into the world with us. And thank you for being a part of this. To keep this show going, we do depend on support from listeners and viewers just like you. So if you have an opportunity, it would be amazing if you were to head over to TWIS.org. TWIS.org is where you find all the things that are TWIS related. We have a wonderful store, our Zazzle store. You can click on that link if you're interested in merchandise. Christmas is coming soon. Oh my goodness. Hanukkah is coming soon. Kwanzaa is coming. All these things. Aren't there gifts to buy for your favorite TWIS listener? And if you do, check out our Zazzle store. Look at the wonderful t-shirts and hats and lumbar support pillows, phone covers, tote bags, wrapping paper even, gift cover, gift wrapping paper. It would be amazing. And a portion of those proceeds go to supporting This Week in Science. So you can give a gift, you can buy something for yourself, and know that you are supporting This Week in Science in your purchases. Another way that you can help support TWIS is through your donations. Click on the yellow donate button on the main page. That will take you to a one-time PayPal donation interface where you can donate any amount of your choosing, $20, $50, $100. You choose. It's all up to you. Another way that you can donate using PayPal in a recurring way is every episode. You go to the most recent episode, any episode page, and scroll down through the show notes. Oh, look, did you know there are show notes? Lots of show notes for TWIS where you can click on the links and find out more information about these stories. But at the bottom of the page, big pink buttons for $2 a month recurring, $5 a month recurring, or $10 a month recurring, where you set it and forget it, and the money is withdrawn from your PayPal account automatically, and it heads to us every month, right? Another way that you can support us is through our Patreon community. Over on Patreon, again, it's like a recurring payment. Once a month, you will be charged at the level of your choosing, whether it's $2 a month or $100 a month. That's up to you. But each of the levels has different gifts that we send as a thank you. The $10 tier, this is like every episode is just about the same amount as a cup of coffee, right? It's like buying one cup of coffee a week. but instead you're supporting TWIS, and we will thank you by name on the show. That's right. You want to be thanked at the very end of the show in that big list of names that I try to rattle off as quickly as I can without getting tongue twisted. Yes, I could try and pronounce your name too in that list if you joined at Patreon at the $10 tier level. Now, back at twist.org, one more way you can help us out. That's by subscribing, by sharing TWIS with other people and getting them to subscribe. There's a big orange subscribe button. Click that button and you can subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and the Google Play podcast portal. Subscribe all of those places if you want to catch us on your multitude of devices, or just one if you have a favorite way to listen to TWIS. But subscribing is really one of the best ways to help us out also. Join our community, subscribe, be a part of this every week. You know that we really could not do this without you. I wouldn't want to do this without you. Thank you for your support.
Can't explain the things you've heard more than intuition. A lot of reason shows the way to go. New conclusion. The methods are hypo.
And we're back with more This Week in Science.
Yes, we are. And oh my goodness, we have one of my favorite segments on the show now. This week in What Has Science Done For Me Lately? Everybody, it's like a chorus now. Everyone.
You're getting further and further from the key.
I know, this is discordant.
It's
Discordant.
circular. Eventually, you'll start coming back towards it again.
If I just keep going up a half note each time, I will eventually catch up again.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my goodness. All right, everyone. This letter comes from Chris, and Chris says, hello. When I was serving in Iraq, the vehicle I was driving was ambushed at a checkpoint manned by insurgents wearing Iraqi police uniforms. Because of advances in material science and engineering, the armor plating in the vehicle saved my life. Without those advances, the bullets fired by the insurgents would have penetrated the driver's door and struck me. Thank you. Sharing my story and hopefully more advances will be. Thank you for sharing my story and hopefully more advances will be made in armor saving more soldiers' lives. Please keep up the great work. TWIS is a great podcast and I learn a lot listening to it. Chris, thank you so much for listening to TWIS. Thank you for wanting to learn and for sharing your story. This is, I mean, it's huge. We're so glad that you are still with us to be able to share your story. It's not just luck. You're right. It's the science also. And it really is the, advanced engineering, these materials that are used, how the armor plating is made. I mean, military science is very important for keeping our soldiers safe and bringing them home.
And thankfully, you were in an armored car. There was, I recall there was a point when the engineering and the technology was ready to go, and it wasn't being deployed onto the vehicles for whatever reason. And it somehow got out, and there was a bit of a public shame campaign that took place. And there was a quick up armoring of the vehicles to better protect the soldiers. So I'm glad you were in one of the protected ones.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you are safe. And I hope that as you do, many more soldiers are kept safe. Thank you for going to battle for our country. Thank you for being a wonderful American. Thank you. And thank you, science, for keeping him and many others like him safe. Remember, everyone, we need you to write in with your stories to let us know what science has done for you lately. Something small, something big. Did it save your life? Did it help you get through a day? Did it make you smile? What has science done for you lately? Leave me a message on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/thisweekinscience, or email me at Kirsten, Kirsten, at thisweekinscience.com. I want to keep filling this segment of the show with your stories, and I can't do it without you. So let's get on it. Write me your letters. Tell me, please. Tell us. Share and share alike. Pay it forward. All right, everybody. Do you know what week it is? Do you know?
Oh, yes. Is this the week where the Nobel Prizes begin to trickle out?
Da-da-da! The Nobel Prizes for Science have been awarded already this week. And so I am happy to let everyone know what has been awarded to whom and why. All right. The Nobel Prize in Physics has been awarded by the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences in Stockholm, Sweden, for tools made of light. Lasers, you guys. Laser science got the award this year. The inventions being honored this year, according to the Nobel Prize website, have revolutionized laser physics. Extremely small objects and incredibly rapid processes are now being seen in a new light. Advanced precision instruments, excuse me, are opening up unexplored areas of research and a multitude of industrial and medical applications. The groundbreaking inventions in the field of laser physics, half of the award to Arthur Ashkin, Bell Laboratories, Holmdel in the USA, for the optical tweezers and their application to biological systems. Optical tweezers is lasers, using lasers and the pressure of light to control very small things, microscopic things like cells or atoms, to hold things in place as you would with a normal pair of tweezers, so that you can take measurements, so you can take pictures, so that you can do experiments. It has changed how we do science at the microscopic level.
Yikes.
Yes. And very excitedly, the other half of the award goes to Gérard Moreau from École Polytechnique Palaiseau, France, also at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, USA, and Donna Strickland from the University of Waterloo, Canada, a female scientist getting an award in physics for only the third time ever. This is awarded for their method of generating high-intensity, ultra-short optical pulses. And so their technique increased the frequency of laser light in a way that it doesn't destroy the amplifying material. And the technique is called chirped pulse amplification, or CPA, and it has become standard for subsequent high-intensity lasers. Its uses include corrective eye surgeries. It's used. It makes very sharp laser beams, apparently. So, this is one of the I think exciting awards this year because of the fact not only is it a woman being awarded, but pew pew pew, we love laser beams.
Laser beams.
That is
Laser
the peanut
beams.
gallery. Laser
Yeah.
beams, yes. Yeah, and the idea that lasers and the physics of light are affecting so many other areas like biology and medicine and health. It is a wide-ranging tool and that is a reason why it has led to this award for the Nobel Prize. Now, are you ready for another one?
Yes.
All right. The award in chemistry was awarded again by the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences to one half to Frances H. Arnold, a woman in science, for the directed evolution of enzymes, and the other half jointly to George P. Smith and Sir Gregory P. Winter for the phage display of peptides and antibodies. Now, you may be asking, what is going on with this? And so this is really evolution. This is an award for chemistry, but we're really talking about evolution in biology. There is no award in biology for the Nobel Prize, though. So this award, first, Frances Arnold in 1993, she conducted the first directed evolution of enzymes. These are proteins that catalyze chemical reactions. She refined the methods since then, and these methods are now routinely used to develop new catalysts. These enzymes include more environmentally friendly manufacturing of chemical substances like pharmaceuticals and the production of renewable fuels for a greener transport sector. And
yeah, so this is absolutely instrumental technology in to the place where I'm working now. And I believe you said the first one was the third woman in physics. I believe this is the fifth woman in chemistry.
Yeah, something like that. So it's not very many, and so it's
happy to see some nonetheless.
And so this year actually is quite exciting because last year there were no women awarded the Nobel Prize, and so it is a delight to see women in these two categories where they historically have been overlooked, but now being recognized for their very important contributions to these sciences. The other half of the Nobel Prize in Chemistry to Smith and Winter was for a method known as phage display. And so phages, these are viruses that infect bacteria, and they can be used to evolve new proteins. And Winter used phage display for the directed evolution of antibodies so that new pharmaceuticals could be produced. So antibodies leading to targets on cells that could, for drug therapies. And there was the first adalimumab, which was approved in 2002 for rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, and inflammatory bowel diseases. And phage display has produced antibodies that can neutralize toxins, counteract autoimmune diseases, and cure metastatic cancer. And so using directed evolution, and it really means taking the principles of natural selection, taking the principles we understand of evolution, and using them in the lab at these very tiny molecular scales to direct the production of, as in this case, enzymes, antibodies, molecules that can help us in our medical technologies. And finally, we will move to the final award in medicine. The Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded for different strategies for inhibiting the brakes on the immune system. And while you go, whoa, why would you turn off the brakes on the immune system? The immune system unchecked that could go crazy. You have inflammation and destruction of tissues, and how could it be okay to take the brakes off? Well, it seems to work incredibly well for the treatment of cancer, and their discoveries are a landmark for the discovery of cancer. The Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine is awarded jointly to James Allison and Tasuku Honjo. And this is for the discovery of cancer therapy by inhibition of negative immune regulation. There were two antigens, CTLA4 and PD1. CTLA4 is an immune system accelerator, a T cell accelerator, and PD1 puts the brakes on. It's a brake. It's an inhibitor of T cells. And we want the T cells of the immune system to naturally get activated to kill cancer cells. And so these two researchers discovered separately, but then working also side by side based on each other's results, that when you create an antigen, an anti-PD1 antigen, it takes the foot off the brake so the T cells can attack the cancer cells. Other way around, the antigen that creates the anti-CTLA4 takes off the accelerator and puts on the brake. And in doing so, allows the T cell to attack the cancer cell. And when used together, it's an even stronger result. In 2010, there was an important clinical study that showed striking effects in patients with advanced melanoma. In several patients, signs of remaining cancer disappeared. And this kind of these kind of results really have never been seen before. And so this idea of attacking the checkpoints in the immune system and affecting them to improve the body's ability to protect itself against its own, it's where things have gone unchecked. Cancer cells are where checkpoints have been turned off. So let's work on it the other way. And so this is really landmark, groundbreaking work. This checkpoint therapy has revolutionized the way we view cancer and the therapy for it. And so they have won the award, the Nobel Prize in physiology or medicine. Science! 2 women getting an award. Amazing. I saw on Twitter too the award for physics. The woman Donna Strickland, who won that award, the paper that she wrote actually was incredibly brief, basically like, a 2-sentence conclusion, a very short abstract. It was the tweet that I saw it described it as the very short paper and very concise. And then basically this paper was the equivalent of a scientific mic drop. Boop. It was
Nice.
so just there's no questions, nothing else to talk about. Look, I did it. It's awesome. Boom, mic drop. Go Donna Strickland.
So great.
Yeah. We look forward to many more wonderful awards and recognitions for science that changes our world and has changed our world. Can't wait until next year. The Ig Nobels are over. The Nobels are over. It's time to move forward. But moving forward often means change, does it not?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Change
Yeah.
is usually good, right?
Or bad. It's either good or bad.
Sometimes it's bad.
It'd be bad. Yeah, well, there's a paper out this week in Nature Climate Change. Catherine Rick,
Oh,
Lauren
that's bad.
Ken Caldera, and Massimo Tavoni, they have done an analysis of the social cost of carbon. And this is, according to their abstract, a commonly employed metric of the expected economic damages from carbon dioxide emissions. And it's useful in developing policy of how to deal with the changes that are going to occur, what's going to happen economically based on carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere, changing climate. What's going to happen? How do we develop policy? These things are important to look at. But when you start looking at it from the scale of the whole Earth, you lose, you're looking at, the climate is going, the temperature of the Earth is going to go up by 4 degrees Celsius, blah, 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 by 2050 or whatever the estimate is. And what does that mean for Portland, Oregon? What does that mean for San Francisco?
Mhm.
What does that mean for Boise, Idaho, for New York City, for India, Bombay? What does it mean? And so the very small scale aspects of the change are what are left out. And so they really wanted to look at a local, regional level, and they estimated country level contributions to this social cost of carbon using recent climate model projections, empirical data, climate-driven economic damage estimations, and socioeconomic projections. And even though they were using a whole bunch of empirical data, because this is such a wide range of projections and estimates, they had a very wide range of possible social costs. So in the US, it is estimated this with 66% confidence intervals that the US would be $177 to $805 per ton of carbon dioxide. $177 to $805 per ton of carbon dioxide. Now, the median range for that, just taking the median, is about $417 per ton of carbon dioxide that we emit into the atmosphere. And however, it starts, very low, 177. That's much less than 417. It's a wide range. The relative ranking of countries also is different. And the countries that have the largest fractions of this cost, the United States is one of the largest, is going to be affected in one of the largest ways. We're one of the biggest emitters, but not all the biggest emitters are affected in this negative economic way. The United States, massively affected. India, massively affected. China and Saudi Arabia. India, China, massive populations. United States with the largest economy. So there are going to be some major effects down the road, and this is something that should definitely be taken into account. Unfortunately, this is not something that everybody wants to hear, but maybe, it's when you start with, we're talking about, the price of gas at the gas station, when people start having to tighten their belt straps, their behaviors change. And so maybe knowing how much it's going to affect our economy down the road will affect our federal and state level behaviors.
Right.
Maybe.
But in order for that to be felt fully, you can't subsidize or give handouts to adjust, which is part of the problem, which is why we need to be talking about it and not just waiting until we feel it.
Absolutely. The authors also write, more research is needed to estimate the geographical diversity of climate change impacts and to help devise policies that align domestic interests to the global good. And these calculations, according to an Ars Technica article, alone don't give all countries an incentive to clean up their act, right? Because some countries, it doesn't make much of a difference to them. And even though this is at a global scale, right? Apart the uncertainties in what the model did look at, plenty of factors didn't make it in, like rising sea levels and changing migration patterns. So things are going to be changing behaviorally that haven't been affected. Areas of the world, coastlines are going to change. People are going to have to move. It's going to change a lot of things. But really, hey, United States, change is coming. And it's not looking good.
Time to do something.
Let's do something about this, all right? Let's do something about this.
Hey, there's something coming up real soon where people can tell people that are supposed to represent them that something needs to be done about this. So
what might that be, Blair?
Oh, an election.
That's right. Everyone in the United States, there is an election coming up. November elections are coming. If you are not sure if you are registered, make a point of checking. Make sure you're registered. If you want to do a mail-in ballot, I think this week you have to make sure you're registered to be able to do that. So it would be wonderful if people could use their scientific sense to say what they want about policy. Right?
Yeah.
Let's have informed decisions getting made, everyone. Now, talking about informed decisions, we like to talk a lot about the standard model and experiments that have been done over and over again to test the predictions of the standard model.
And every year, Justin says the standard model will not be upheld, right? Justin, isn't that what you usually say?
No. I keep saying how much fun it would be if we found something that didn't fit with it.
Okay.
But I never doubt that the standard model will win.
I thought that was won't win. I thought that was one of your predictions every year.
I always assume that the standard model will be found for the umpteenth millionth different way that they've attempted to test it in some specific new category or detail. That it's worked so well in the past. Don't see any reason why it would cease working. Because also it's one of those things, like if it did stop working, there's all these other wait a second. Because the way it's the way the Standard Model is derived, it's yeah. So it's a universal stuff. So, but the amount of sheer joy and excitement and interest, if it was found not to work in some way, would open up so many questions for science to delve into that would be exciting.
Well, Kiki?
Well, I have a story from this last week, an article that was recently published, uploaded on September 26th to the preprint server archive. Astrophysicists from Penn State University have been puzzling over data from an experiment called ANITA. ANITA is an experiment that is the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna. It's a balloon-borne antenna that drifts over Antarctica hunting for cosmic rays, expecting them to come from outer space before passing through the Earth at very high velocities. The puzzle then was, I'm going to get to what the puzzle was in a moment. Another signal also was puzzling from the ice cube experiment in Antarctica. This is a neutrino experiment, giant block of the world's clearest ice that is being used to try and multiply, detect and multiply and detect the signals of neutrinos that are passing through the Earth, right? Well, they expect these things to be really these neutrinos really coming from space and then passing through the Earth. Or if the neutrinos come through the Earth, they should have a source that we're aware of where they've come from, like, maybe nuclear reactors or something like that somewhere else on the planet. But a couple of signals in the ANITA experiment, cosmic rays coming up through the Earth. Now, the thing about this is that anything that's traveling up through the Earth shouldn't be getting detected by an experiment, a balloon in the air floating, because it should have run into something in the Earth already. If it's going through the Earth, the likelihood that it will go all the way through the Earth without hitting anything and decaying into weaker particles is slim to none. And so these scientists from Penn State University have put on the archive preprint server their puzzling over this data. The fact that they are intrigued by these ANITA events and also by the ice cube events. So these 3 bits of data, combining the data sets, they have calculated that whatever particle it is, they don't know what particle it is. It's a particle that's coming up from the Earth in this unexpected way, has a less than 1 in 3.5 million chance of being part of the Standard Model. And now, additionally, we look at these experiments and these data sets, and it's very important. The sigma is the tell for how significant data is. And usually, if we're looking at something, they didn't really want to talk about the Higgs boson research from the LHC until they had a 6 sigma event. That is, really high significance. It's basically, no chance. Their data, putting these 3 data sets together, they have confidences of 5.8 and 7 sigma, depending on the calculations that you look at. So it's highly likely that this is a particle that has made it all the way through the Earth, and likely that it is something that supports something other than the Standard Model of physics. Now, physicists are going crazy because they're going, supersymmetry! This supports supersymmetry. And there are a bunch of researchers, and in the paper, they suggest that maybe this is the Tau-Slepton, because when you're talking about supersymmetric particles, they're like Standard Model particles, but you just put an S in front of them. So instead of a tau lepton, it's a stau slepton. So I find that fun and humorous on
Sounds
its
like a bunch
own.
of kids speaking pig Latin to each other.
Except it's physics. It's physics.
Oh no. It's like the smartest people you've ever met, but they sound like kids speaking a secret language.
Yeah. Yeah. So the results disfavor standard model. We don't know what it is. People are jumping on the supersymmetry explanation, but there's a lot more work that needs to be done. And so more data needs to be collected. They're going to be verifying the Anita and Ice Cube results because they need to be actually verified. The fact that you have these 3 results is interesting, but we need to know more. And it may potentially open up more experiments and more data within the Large Hadron Collider itself. So maybe there's more to be seen in the data, the petaflops of data that are coming out of the Large Hadron Collider as well. So researchers say for us to be certain that these events are not due to unknown unknowns, say unmapped properties of the Antarctic ice, we would like other instruments to also detect these sort of events. But now that researchers have seen them, maybe it's something that other researchers can go and see if they have something similar in their data. This interesting result, however, this Live Science article that I've taken a look at here, one of the things that the interviewer asked about was, how they go about confirming their ideas. And they say, okay, well, the physicist said, well, we see this result in the data, and the next thing we want to do is go back to previous literature, go search the literature and see if any theorists came up with this idea and suggested that this signal would be here. And so that gives a higher likelihood of this actually being a result as opposed to just some kind of aberration. And they went back and did a data search, and there are theory papers that suggest this kind of upward cosmic ray burst from the Earth that was highly unexpected.
Isn't the Earth's magnetic field like polar? Couldn't this just be like some cosmic hitchhiker running along the Earth's magnetic field, caught up in the wind and upwelling? I mean, balloons can be pretty high up in the air. I mean, the balloons go up higher than airplanes. Like, this could be high atmosphere, near space balloons.
Yeah.
And then you've also got the Earth's magnetic field from the southern pole. That's I think the way it goes is from south to north in the loopity graphicy.
The loopity
graphicy thing when they show the Earth's magnetic field. I'm going to stick with the standard model on this one. As much as I'd love there to be like a new physics, I think this is probably something to do with the fact that they found this at the South Pole and not anywhere else ever where there are detectors all over the place. And which makes me think it's probably some affect of the Earth's magnetic field that's sending particles seemingly upward from the Earth. That's my guess.
If they're supersymmetric particles, they would be sparticles.
There you go. I am sparticle.
Sparticles. I am sparticle. But
replicability is like the heart of good science, though,
Mhm.
right? So that's really what we've got to be waiting for is a repeat of this weirdo piece of data.
Yeah, so they will keep looking at it. I like your idea about this being, something specific to Antarctica. I mean, one of the reasons we have these experiments in Antarctica is because there's not a lot of us there. The fact that it's a quiet place. There's less noise from all of the energetic sources that we have created. There's all, there's all the Earth between the detectors and the rest of the Earth. And it also, and it's not, there are a lot of the difference. It's different. The electromagnetic frequencies there and the signals there, it is a different environment. Yes.
And there's also like polar clouds. I mean, this is like a whole separate thing, but these, and I always forget the name of them. They're not the noctilucent, some
Noctilucent clouds.
super high
low-lying.
altitude. Super,
yes,
no, the super high altitude
Yeah.
ones, which
Yep.
don't occur anywhere else. So there's weird stuff at the pole, man, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's coming from inside the planet. Like it doesn't. I feel like this is, but I don't know. I'm not a physicist, so I'm just saying stuff.
There we
It's
go.
really, I mean, but the little pictures though, the diagram of how the Earth's magnetic field works, which is a cartoon, but it shows emanating from the South Pole, reaching out into space and coming back down to the North. That's where it would be going up if you were following those lines. Again,
if it's following those lines. I mean, these are cosmic rays, so they don't necessarily have to follow the magnetic field lines of the Earth.
It's better than a 1 in how many? What's it? Millions of chances that it could possibly.
3.5 million.
Yeah, I like my magnetic field theory better, or hypothesis, or conspiracy, or whatever it is.
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
But Justin, here is your.
Because I got standard model on my side. That's why I'm
just gonna say, here it is. Here's that story. The story that suggests maybe the standard model is not all it. Maybe there's more. Maybe there's more interesting physics out there. Physicists around the world are thrilled right now, and this is like a giant. This is the best candy store to a physicist right now. This is what they dream of. So we will keep reporting on this story as we find news related to it. And, probably it'll get dashed by magnetic field lines or some other signal or something, and the standard model will reign supreme. But we'll see. We'll see. That's all I've got for the opening of the show. I guess for the second half of the show. Justin, what did you bring? Let's get through this.
What did I bring? Yes. Fossil teeth found in Italy, figured to be from 450,000 years ago. That's pretty darn old. And these teeth are fostering Neanderthal-like dental features. This is published today in the open access journal PLOS One, Public Library of Science Online. The discovery of Neanderthal-like teeth so early in the record adds to support the suggestion of an early divergence of Neanderthals and us modern humans, the parts of us that aren't Neanderthal. Teeth are also notably different from other teeth known from this time in Eurasia, suggesting that there may have been multiple human lineages populating the complexity in the hairless ape evolution than the previous unexpected complexities that have been discovered in the very recent past. So this says these are teeth from two different sites were examined using micro CT scanning and detailed morphological analysis. The authors examined the shape and arrangement of tooth tissues, compared them with the teeth of other human species, found that teeth of both of the sites share similarities with Neanderthals, or they're more closely similarities with Neanderthals, but much more similar to Neanderthals than modern human teeth. The findings suggest that certain aspects of Neanderthal tooth structure had already arisen in earlier hominins of Europe, but that the full suite of Neanderthal traits did not appear until later. So, ancient Neander, proto-Neander teeth found in Italy.
That's cool. We like, and teeth contain, it's so much information that can come from teeth. We've seen.
Yeah.
Diet, life expectancy.
Yeah.
And one of the things, other than the sort of, I guess, shape of the teeth, which this is the thing I didn't know, is Neanderthals had thinner enamel than modern humans, which seems really weird. And I think I may have heard this before, but had dismissed it. In that Neanderthals were known to use their teeth as like a third hand to hold things in their teeth, right. And they had, broader, more robust teeth for doing this sort of thing. So maybe I've heard that they had thinner enamel and just assumed it's from, holding stuff.
Yeah,
with
wearing it
your
down.
face.
Yeah.
But apparently no, it's they, for whatever reason, and sort of separately more. It's a very unique Neanderthal characteristic. The other branches that we've discovered of hominins have closer to the human thickness in the enamels, but Neanderthals, for whatever reason, had thinner enamels. Of course, they had kind of big teeth too. Maybe there's a trade-off.
Big teeth,
That's
thin enamel.
interesting. So dentin is underneath the enamel. It's sensitive and it communicates with the nerve center. And enamel is like the protective shell. So
maybe they had a sense of touch with their teeth.
whoa, yikes. Or maybe they just didn't live as long, so it was okay that they had some tooth decay. Because
or maybe
live hard, die young.
No, maybe their teeth were fine, because they had good the microbiome of the mouth.
Or maybe their diet meant that their teeth didn't decay as easily or something. Yeah, there's lots of different reasons, I guess.
You figure and this is more conjecture stuff, because we know that they had a pretty diverse diet. But if they, you can picture something that eats meat a lot might not need because it's the grains, right? It would be all the grains in the roughage.
So animals that eat mostly meat have shearing teeth, so their molars aren't as flat in the back. They're actually sharp, and they self sharpen as they close. So like cats and things, their back teeth do that.
But is there? I'm curious that, and I maybe don't have the answer. Like the thickness of the enamel on a carnivore versus a plant eater.
I don't know.
I do know that we could look up.
Yeah, that dog teeth, we've talked on the show about tooth decay in dogs, and that people that feed their dogs raw diets anecdotally have more teeth problems, those dogs, versus the dry food has less tooth decay. So you would think that the enamel might actually be thicker potentially with a more meat-based diet. Not sure, because if you think about it too, I wouldn't know this because I don't eat red meat, but whenever I'm with people that are eating red meat, they talk about how it gets stuck in their teeth. You have to like floss after you eat a lot of red meat. So
never happens with spinach.
It does, but grains definitely less. And so you wonder if meat actually would need more enamel because it would get caught in the teeth and cause tooth decay. Kiki, what'd you find? Oh, you're muted.
Thank you very much. I am trying to search for comparative enamel thickness in various species of animals, and it looks as though it is very widely distributed. So
interesting. I was also looking up. Most mammals have two sets of teeth. All primates have two sets of teeth, the milk teeth and then the adult teeth. Because at first I was wondering if maybe they're ditching them more often, and that's why also they wouldn't need the enamel. But it would appear that most likely they would only have two sets of teeth like other primates.
Yeah. So let's see. Cats and dogs, thinner enamel. Cats and dogs have thinner enamel than humans. We also, let's see, between cows and human, bovine teeth have been used as substitutes for human teeth in dental studies. So comparing that, we find, what do we find here? The density of bovine cow enamel is significantly higher than that of human enamel. Yes, and dentin, coronal dentin, is statistically lower than human coronal dentin. So dentin is the enamel is thicker, the dentin is thinner. Cows are chewing their cud all the time, so there's a lot of chewing going on, and so and then we find this differently in dogs and cats compared to humans.
So
I think this is an herbivore to it sounds like it is an herbivore to carnivore with humans as generalists, sometimes somewhere in the middle.
And,
Yeah.
and to put on top of that, the likelihood that the Neanderthals probably used a knife and fork from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So they weren't even, they had just small little digestible, swallowable bits. They didn't even have to chew their food much because they.
The dentin, less dentin in the cow totally makes sense, because if you look at herbivore teeth of an animal that lived a very full life, you can actually see the roots by the end are almost fully exposed because they're wearing down the teeth by chewing and chewing and chewing and chewing. And if you had fully sensitive teeth, if you had all that dentin in there, that'd be so painful. So you could see how if you're wearing that down to the root, you'd want less feeling in those back teeth. That totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to feel that all the time. I mean, cows don't have dentists.
No. Well, some cows have dentists.
Some do. Yes, it's true. Well cared for cows.
So not to take the speculation any further than we already have, but I mean, if already at 450,000 years ago, if we pretend that it was a diet based, a focus on being a carnivore based diet, the evolution of that then would it go back even further? And maybe this is what this sort of separated man from our ancestors, mutual ancestors from each other, when Neanderthal and ancestor of man split off, was diet. It came down to people who like meat versus the vegetarians. And at one point they're like, okay, we're gonna head north, we're gonna keep eating meat. I don't want any more dirty looks at dinner. People were like, you're eating that, trying to make me feel bad about it. We're heading north. We're going to keep eating meat. Anybody who likes meat, come with us. We're going that way.
Or maybe it wasn't feeling bad about it, but just some of them didn't have the right gut bacteria. Oh, my stomach. I can't eat any more meat.
And I can't chew on this anymore.
Or the other way around. Oh, anything. No more fiber, please. Oh,
no
my
more
God.
fiber. No more. Exactly.
Too much.
All right. How about no more teeth for a moment? I think it is time for Blair's Animal Corner.
What if Blair?
She loves our creatures, great and small. Biped, millipede, no pet at all. If you want to hear about animals, she's your girl. Except for giant pandas and squirrels.
What you got, Blair? Oh. So I have a really cool story about blue-capped cordon bleu, which are songbirds.
Pretty.
It is not a dish in a French restaurant. They're little songbirds. It roughly translates to blue-capped blue ribbon, which I don't even know why these birds are called that. They are blue, but they are monogamous, and they have a very particular courtship performance that they give to one another. And we discovered something this week from Hokkaido University in Japan and Max Planck Institute of Ornithology in Germany, looking at impacts of other individuals being near, being visible from where this monogamous couple was, and the impact on their courtship displays. So we've all been there, just trying to sit in the park, eat our sandwich for lunch, have a nice time, and there's just a couple of people over on the park bench next to us. You can't help but want to yell out, "Get a room!" Just the PDA is out of control. Well, it turns out that might, at least if they're a bird, be because you're there. So this study found that courtship performances involving singing and dancing were more intense in the presence of an audience, especially that of the opposite sex. So these guys, they're social birds, they're monogamous, and their courtship displays vary in intensity in the song and the dance. And they found that these individual birds sing more courtship songs accompanied by dancing when the audience is visible, especially that of the opposite sex. In contrast, courtship displays without dancing were suppressed, so it was all or nothing for them. As the birds were directing their courtship dancing toward their partner, they were actually able to tell for sure they were directing it at the partner, not at the audience. So this means if I'm a female cordon bleu and I see my male that I'm in a monogamous relationship with, my singing and dancing is more intense, but I am focused on him. I am not focusing on the male in the other room that I can see. But the fact that there's another male over there makes me more intense in my singing and dancing. Now, I would have expected it would have gone the other way, that having another individual of the same sex would make it more intense, because I'd be saying, he's mine. But no. This is saying, oh no, I'm taken. So this is, they posit that they are advertising the relationship to other individuals, which is significant when you live in social groupings, because you don't want to waste energy on an animal that's already taken.
That's so funny, though. Hey, I'm taken.
Yeah.
Don't you even try. But maybe, I mean, it could also be, I mean, we do know that in many of these seasonally monogamous relationships that there is, there are these extra pair couplings that take place. And so it could be that it's, look at me, I'm taken, I am a high quality mate.
I'm a hot commodity.
I'm a hot commodity. Look at me. Look, I've got something going on here, but somebody else likes me, which means I'm good. So maybe this is advertising for those extra pair copulations.
So I did just pop out and it just popped back in again. But I'm assuming you're talking about why women wear wedding rings.
It's more that the idea that if someone is like holding hands, rubbing backs, like tickling the back of your neck, stuff like that, that's something they wouldn't do if you were alone. It's only because there's another man nearby.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it could be similar for sure. It could be saying, I'm taken, and to Kiki's point, that means somebody really likes me. It means I'm high quality.
I am a quality mate.
Yeah.
They're, publicly, I'm saying I'm taken.
I'm taken, Yeah, I'm taken.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is interesting, and they do say that this could provide insight on how complex communication signals develop among animals, including human beings, that establish coupling relationships. So there is something here for sure that I think you can right away kind of draw anthropomorphized connections to, for sure. Further testing would definitely tell us if this is somehow related. But, you could also weave in the whole idea that when you're taken, you're more attractive to the opposite sex and all that sort of, stuff that we talk about as humans. But there are
the two different, what's interesting about this species as well is that both the male and the female are involved in this courtship display. Both sing and dance. It's not a male display. And so this could also, another possibility that they've probably brought up is, the strengthening, like you said, the strengthening of the relationship bond through that communication, where it's, even though there's somebody else here, look, there's somebody else here. I like you. Let's talk about that.
That's a really good point too. Yeah. So they talk about how because they are monogamous, that the strength of the relationship and the maintenance of the relationship requires somewhat constant display. So it's not just display long enough to copulate and then never see you again. It's a constant reassurance of you're my bird. We're together.
It's like the bird version of going on a date.
Yeah, having a date night.
Let's have a date night. We'll dance
Absolutely.
and sing.
This is
We'll
also
dance
the
and sing to
problem.
each other.
This is also this illustrates the problem of being single. Because I assume
Right.
single people must look at each other and the first thought is like, okay, why are they single? What?
It's
there
like a
must be a very good reason.
feedback loop. Yeah.
There's probably a reason. I haven't discovered it just yet, but I'm sure it's gonna come up. And when I do, I'm gonna be like, yeah. Well, that's probably why I'm single too. I mean, hey.
There you go. Moving on. So cats like to eat rats, right? This is something we've always known.
Right? This is in nursery rhymes even.
Of course. Well, a recent study looking at New York City cats and rats call this into question. Apparently, it's a very common practice in New York City, since rats are known to be an issue, to let your cats outside to rid your neighborhood of rats. We know that's a bad idea for a bunch of reasons. One being the whole toxoplasmosis thing, the other being the fact that cats are known to pose a threat to birds and other urban wildlife that are protected, endangered, or otherwise we're not wanting to hunt them, right? So we already know it's not a great idea, but people really believe this idea, particularly in New York City, that the rats are abated by cats. Well, researchers finally wanted to take a real look at this. There have been a lot of studies on cats' impact on birds and urban wildlife, but not really many studies looking at whether cats help with a pest rat population. So this study monitored behavior and movement of microchipped rats in the presence of cats. And it's actually interesting how it started. This is Australian and US researchers. They had, in a New York City waste recycling center, they already had a colony of about 100 rats living in there that were already microchipped. And they were kind of following their movements. And so, as kind of an addendum to this, they decided to take the feral cats and set up motion capture video cameras to be able to see how the cats and the rats are interacting with one another. As far as they can tell, this is the first time this has been studied in a natural setting, or whether you can call a waste recycling center a natural setting, but at least it's not in a lab. What they found, they took 306 videos over 79 days.
Wow.
And there were up to 3 cats active by rat colonies each day. So there was a good number of cat to rat proximity relationships. They found only 20 stalking events, 3 kill attempts, 2 successful kills. So over 80 days, these cats only ate 2 rats.
2 rats. That's it.
That's it. They found that. Go ahead.
That's huge.
2 rats?
Yeah. Look. There's 3 things right off the bat. One is, if you're in the suburbs, a rat is like a unicorn, right? There's not rats by the hundreds everywhere you go. So you're not a cat that's immersed with rats as a normal feature of your day. So if you see one, whether you're hungry, not hungry, whatever, you're like, something moved that I should chase. And you're right on it. If you're in an environment where there's just rats everywhere, you got to really be like, I haven't caught a rat in a couple of days. Maybe today I'll go after. Well, you know what? Maybe tomorrow. There's going to be rats tomorrow too. It's like once it's like a normal part of the environment.
So the cats are jaded. You're saying they're jaded to the rat.
Well, so this actually I got in trouble.
You're hungry. I think this is, we're talking about predators and prey.
Yeah. So remember, these cats are
normalize a predator to an abundance of prey, to where they don't feel like they need to go after them.
So these cats we know are attacking and killing local mice, local birds, local lizards.
Mhm.
But this is what we're finding out. They're not attacking these rats. So a couple things about this. So one is the average weight of these rats was 330 grams.
Okay.
So they're
Those are some
large.
big city rats.
They're
Yeah.
big city rats.
That's the other
And
thing
their
with this one.
usual meals of these birds or lizards or mice are about 15 to 30 grams. So this is 10 times in size.
Which is
So-
probably the size of a suburban rat. But also, by the way, like this is also a thing. This is also
Well
one of
said.
the other problems with this is you're talking about New York rats.
Right, but this
versus-
is where this is happening a lot. People are releasing cats to
Mhm.
eat these rats. So in these videos, though, let me tell you what they found was that in the presence of cats, rats were spending less time out in the open, which means humans may see less rats because they're hiding from the cats, but they're still there. Which is why these tags that they had, the microchips, were so important because they were still able to track where the rats were, even if they weren't visible by the camera traps. So they spent less time out in the open. Their movements were altered by the cats, but they were not being reduced in number.
The third thing I was going to say on this too is you got a multi-generational apartment cat being released into nature versus you take your average Central Valley, California farm cat
Yeah.
and you put it in that scenario, it's going to take care of a lot of rats quick. It's not even going to be hungry. It's just going to be for sport at that point. It'll just keep its skills up because there's a whole bunch of problems with this. So yes, your 100th generation apartment cat is not going to rid the world of a New York City civilization rat, next generation civilization rat, to any great number. And I'm glad we've had a study that illustrates that.
So to answer that kind of comment a little bit, these were feral cats. These were
They're
not.
recently feral cats. These aren't.
We don't
like,
know that.
You don't know. These are
I
feral
know.
cats.
In
These
New
are
York
from the
City, you know,
shelter. New York
You
feral
know,
cats.
there's Rum Tum Tugger out there. There's some feral cats that have been around there for many, many, many generations in New York City. It's very hard to say. We don't know from this study what the genealogy and the like lineage of this cat is, that these cats that they were studying. So
I'm just saying, I used to have a farm cat that would take out squirrels.
Yeah, but so here's the
and that's
the thing,
the
though.
idea, right?
I think the thing is that we are looking at is twofold. The size of the rats. Rats are big compared to the cats, so the cats maybe aren't attacking them as often as they do the smaller prey. Also, the rats are really smart and they're hiding more often when cats are around. So people think that
Mhm.
cats are killing rats, but
Mhm.
really cats are not killing rats and the rats are just hiding. They're
Right.
good at they're good at
So-
they're
so-
good
they're
at
not a
finding-
novelty.
They're better at finding cover than the small rodents and the birds.
Yes. And so the moral of this piece is
Yeah.
that they are not serving the purpose they think they're serving, and that actually it causes more harm to release these animals to the native wildlife than help to the pest population. You're better off keeping your cat inside.
Yeah.
That is the situation here.
Don't expect your cat to take care of the rat problem.
Yeah.
Call an exterminator.
There you go. Or make sure, put some perching on your rooftop for birds of prey, or, I don't know. There's things that you can do to promote native pest
I
control.
would love to know, next study, how many of these rats are caught by birds of prey?
Yeah. I would argue more than the cats, for sure.
Death from above.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Want to talk about algae, Blair?
Yes, real quick, super fun story. Algae, what sound does it make?
Yeah, nothing's coming to mind whatsoever. There's absolutely no sound do I have associated.
Oh my
my goodness.
Other than like, what did my foot just touch? Like that's a human
Yes,
reacting
well,
to the.
It's either that or I think of like, the bubbling weird green lagoon that the creature blurp.
You're
blurp,
getting
blurp,
closer.
blurp.
So researchers found that the coral reef had certain sounds that they couldn't quantify. They couldn't figure out what they were or where they were coming from. But they also found that this sound was directly related to the amount of algal cover in a coral reef. So they took algae in Hawaiian invasive algae in a tank, and they measured sound emissions, and they found that a release of gas bubbles, combination of oxygen released from photosynthesis and nitrogen, produced a ringing sound from the oscillations of bubbles as they assumed a spherical shape in water. This sound ranged from 2 to 20 kilohertz. So that matched the sound that they could not figure out where it was coming from in the natural coral reef. And the measurement of this sound is a proxy for algal and aquatic plant photosynthetic activity. So they can actually measure this sound to measure algal cover in a coral reef.
They're wind chimes of the sea.
Yes!
Wow.
Algae chimes.
There you go.
Algal chimes.
So what sound does an algae make? Ding, 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 ding. There you go.
But very, very softly. You
Yes.
have to amplify the sound probably fairly massively to be able to hear it. Yes. So that's interesting. And so the health of a coral reef now can be assessed by the sound it's making.
Yes, just pop a microphone in there.
That's cool.
There you
So
go.
of course, then they eventually ask, like, what else? What can do that?
Yes, and what other plants are making sounds?
What are the plants? And what are they saying? Oh no.
Yes.
What are they saying about us?
There's all sorts of stuff we just don't even know.
So if the algae is there, the photosynthetic algae, is this healthy for the coral reefs or is this?
Yeah, so this is it's biological processes in the reef, right? So it's something.
So this is the healthy thing. This isn't something you don't want.
Right.
Awesome. So I wonder, so it's the bubbles.
Well, actually, I guess it depends because in this case, this is an invasive algae on the Hawaiian coral. So that would probably not be great, but in its native space. And also then they're saying that it could be a proxy for other photosynthetic activity. So I think it's something that they could tweak per species. They could tweak in general to see, productivity in an area.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
I guess actually it's kind of complicated.
More complicated than the simple ringing you would think, but it's fascinating. I love this. I love the questions that come from it also. Yeah. What more can we learn by listening? The chimes. Now I want to listen to an aquarium. Now I want to listen to all the things, right? Yes. I've got a couple of fun stories. People might say, that's no moon. But researchers say, hey, that might be a moon. Oh. Might be a moon. Exoplanet Kepler 1625b transits the star Kepler 1625. And it has a possible exomoon in orbit around it. Hubble and Kepler data suggest that there is a moon about the size of Neptune in orbit around.
That's a really big moon.
It's a very big moon. It's like a planet. It's a big planet moon in orbit around an exoplanet. And so it could be that we with our visualization technologies, our imaging technology at this point, especially looking at the dimming of light based on transits, that this is pretty much the smallest moon that we'll be able to see at this point in time. But this is the first time we've seen a moon around a planet somewhere in a star far, far away, 8,000 light years away.
Oh,
This so far away.
right next door.
284 Kepler discovered planets were observed. They were searching specifically for exomoons with periods greater than 30 days around their host star. They looked at the starlight dimming as the planet passed in front of its star, and other anomalies that occur in the dimming. Researcher on this Science Advances study, David Kipping, he says, we saw little deviations and wobbles in the light curve that caught our attention. So it may be that we'll confirm this. This has not absolutely been confirmed, but it is something that we have visualized, and it's very exciting. And other space news, there is a goblin planet in orbit around the sun. There is a goblin planet in orbit around the sun. A goblin planet. Well, they're calling it a goblin planet because of the letters that are being used to describe it. 2015 TG387, and it was first seen near Halloween in 2015. It's about 80 astronomical units from the sun. That's the distance between the sun to Earth. They're about 150 million kilometers. And this is a dwarf planet. It comes in to orbit, kind of this odd orbit along with Sedna and another dwarf planet called 2012 VP113. Because of its odd orbit, it's not in the usual plane with the nice tight elliptical orbit that all the planets that are the key rocky and gas planets around the sun that we consider the main planets in our solar system. It's not in line with those suckers. It comes in fairly close into the orbit of Sedna, and then goes swings way out, very far away. So it's got an odd orbit and an asymmetrical orbit around the sun. They're finding these objects at their closest approach to the sun, but the goblin, it gets way out there. And because of its odd orbit, it's putting more evidence toward the existence of Planet 9, a possibly Earth-sized planet in orbit very distantly around the sun. It's so distant that we haven't seen it because it's basically in darkness, but that is imagined to be an Earth-sized rocky planet that was either captured coming from another solar system, which likelihood is not on that hypothesis, or was a planet that was formed in the inner solar system and kicked out because it got too close to one of the big gas giants. So this new extreme dwarf planet TG387 2015, otherwise known as the Goblin, it is out there. It's out there orbiting.
Spooky.
It is. As we come up to Halloween, it's kind of suitable that researchers would be talking about it again, discussing this spooky planet out there, being affected by the orbits of other planets. Goblins. Justin, did you have one more story?
I do. So we were talking a little bit earlier about possibly different ancient diets. They made I love the way they kind of came about this discovery. They were studying proteins on the inside of pottery. There's an 8,000-year-old site. It's in a region of what is now Turkey. Catalhoyuk. 8,000-year-old human settlement that was, it looked like a nice little, houses built right next to each other. They had farming. They had lots of pottery. They apparently lasted the settlement lasted for about 2,000 years. We have 1,500 years, something like this. About a 1,500 year farming, people living, dying, eating stuff, and apparently leaving proteins of those foods in the insides of the ceramic bowls and jars. This is now, it's not just that we can tell there's protein. They're at the point where they can identify what these proteins came from. And so they can say what these people were eating to an extent. So they can tell that they had milk, dairy products that were from goats, that were from cows and sheep. So they had 3 different forms of dairy going on in this community. They had meat that was also, as you can imagine, goats, sheep, and cattle. Also deer. They could find that there was legumes and peas that were being held in some of these jars, and in one case, perhaps even cheese, or a unique vessels that look like they were being used to perhaps make cheese out of. There was also cereals, wheat, barley. One of the things that they kind of point out, though, is, I think in an effort to prevent people from trying to go on the Catalhoyuk diet, which is that what they've captured of these people's diet has to do with, one, things that we know a lot of, like the grains, for instance. Like we have 145,000 proteins that we know are identified with wheat and barley. We don't have so many for some of the other ingredients that we did find. So those ones were more got by chance. Well, actually, there's one that I have to delve in here for a sec. There was one thing that they found in there that I don't know what it is. What's vetches?
Spell it.
VETCHES.
I have never heard of vetches before.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either.
It's an herbaceous plant in the pea family.
So it's a type of pea. Okay. So apparently we only have like a few of the proteins that we know are specifically, or six protein sequences from vetch in the database. Right. So the fact that we caught that one was there was just lucky. So there might be other stuff that they were keeping in here in these containers that we don't know about. Also, if something wasn't kept in one of these containers, we wouldn't know that they were eating it. So don't go basing your entire diet off of what people ate 8,000 years ago. So also kind of interesting is there was a lot of turnover in the pottery. This thing that had meat then would have vegetables and then would have dairy. And it's hard to tell if it was a combination, right? A big stew that was being made of the different ingredients, or if they just hadn't done a really good job of cleaning their ceramics between putting different things.
Gotta get a dishwasher.
I know that's an important invention. Yeah. But now my dishes won't tell the tale of my society as they once did.
That's true.
Unfortunate.
Oh, I gotta leave those egg plates, the ones left over from the eggy breakfast. Just leave them. Leave them for the annals of history.
Hey, Justin, you got dishes piling up in the kitchen. Why don't you take care of that? No.
It's for the archaeologists.
It's for future rat archaeologists when they want to come discover more about the ancient mankind civilization. They can know what we ate based on my dishes. I will bury in the backyard for them to
just go. I'm gonna go break a few dishes in the backyard. Leave them there for archaeologists of the future. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's a time capsule. My backyard is a time capsule. I'm gonna tell you all sorts of things. It's not a mess. That's what I'm gonna tell my neighbors when I'm not cleaning up my yard, throwing the dishes around, the breaking of the pottery. Yes. And they say, "Why don't you clean up?" I'll say, "It's not a mess. It's a time capsule."
There you go.
There we go. Learning so much. Oh my gosh, the molecular residues left on old pottery. In the past, we've reported on the vibrations that were in pottery from the potter's wheel that have been that have allowed researchers to reconstruct conversations that were happening, or at least the sounds of the rooms where the pottery was being made, the environment of the time. There are sounds and signatures everywhere. That does it for us for another episode of This Week in Science. Thank you, everyone, for joining us once again for another episode. I would love to say thank you to Identity4 for recording the show, to Fada for helping with social media, and also with the YouTube show notes. It's great to have a description there with time codes that you can go directly to be able to listen to specific stories or interviews in any video program.
That's awesome.
Everyone, also, I want to say thank you to our Patreon sponsors. Thank you to Paul Disney, G. Burton Lattimore, Richard Onemus, Ed Dyer, Ken Hayes, Harrison Prather, Charlene Henry, Joshua Fury, Andy Gross, Steve DeBell, Alex Wilson, Tony Steele, Craig Landon, Jonette Ratnaswamy, Mark Mazzaros, Jack, Matthew Litwin, Jason Roberts, Bill K., Bob Calder, Time Jumper 319, Eric Knapp, Richard Brian Condren, Dave Neighbor, Aiden Jeff, Paul Ronovich, Dave Wilkinson, Ben Bignell, Richard Porter, Jacqueline Boyster, Noodles, Kevin Reardon, Christoph Zuknerek, Noah Zemke, Ashish Pants, Ulysses Adkins, Sarah Chavez, Artyom, Rick Ramus, Paul, John McKee, Jason Olds, Brian Carrington, Christopher Dreyer, Lisa Slazewski, Jim Drapeau, Greg Riley, Sean Lamb, Ben Rothig, Steve Lesseman, Kurt Larson, Rudy Garcia, Marjorie, Gary S., Robert, Greg Briggs, Brendan Minish, Christopher Rappin, Flying Out, Aaron Luthen, Mark Sutter, Mark Hessenflow, Kevin Parachan, Byron Lee, EO, Mark Tyrone Fong, and Keith Corsell. Thank you for all of your support on Patreon. If you are interested in helping us out, you can find information at patreon.com/thisweekinscience. Also, there's a link at TWIS.org. You can help us out additionally by talking about TWIS with your friends. And on next week's show, we will be back once again at 8 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday evening to discuss science news live on the air. But if you are going to miss it, that's okay, because you can find and watch past episodes on our YouTube channel and also at TWIS.org.
Thank you for enjoying the show. TWIS is also available as a podcast. Just Google This Week in Science in your iTunes directory. Or if you have a mobile type device, you can look for TWIS, the number 4 Droid app in the Android marketplace, or simply This Week in Science in anything Apple marketplacey.
For more information on anything you've heard here today, show notes will be available on our website. That's at www.twis.org, where you can also make comments and start conversations with the hosts and other listeners.
Or instead of that, you could contact us directly. Email Kirsten at thisweekinscience.com, Justin at twistminion@gmail.com, Blair at blairbaz@twist.org. Just be sure to put TWIS, TWIS, somewhere in the subject line. Otherwise, your email is automatically spam filtered into oblivion. You can also hit us up on the Twitter, where we are at TWIS Science, at Dr. Kiki, at Jacksonfly, and at Blair's Menagerie. We love your feedback. If there's a topic you would like us to cover or address, a suggestion for an interview, a haiku that comes to you in the night, please let us know.
We'll be back here next week, and we hope you'll join us again for more great science news.
And if you've learned anything from the show, remember,
It's all in your head.
This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science, it's the end of the world. So I'm setting up shop, got my banner unfurled. It says the scientist is in, I'm gonna sell my advice. Show them how to stop the robots with a simple device. I'll reverse global warming with a wave of my hand. And all it'll cost you is a couple of grand. This week's science is coming your way. So everybody listen to what I say. I use the scientific method for all that it's worth. And I'll broadcast my opinion all over the earth. Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This week in science, science, science. This week in science. This week in science, science, science. I've got one disclaimer and it shouldn't be news. That what I say may not represent your views, but I've done the calculations and I've got a plan. If you listen to the science, you may just get understand that we're not trying to threaten your philosophy. We're just trying to save the world from jeopardy. Jeopardy. And this week in science is coming away. So everybody listen to everything we say. And if you use our method instead of rolling a die, we may rid the world of toxoplasma gondii. Cause it's this week in science. This week in science. This week in science. 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 This week in science. This week in science. 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 I've got a laundry list of items I want to address. From stopping global hunger to dredging Loch Ness. I'm trying to promote more rational thought, and I'll try to answer any question you've got. So how can I ever see the changes I seek when I can only set up shop 1 hour a week? This week in science is coming your way. You better just listen to what we say, and if you learned anything from the words that we said, then please just remember it's all in your head. Cause it's this week in science. This week in science. This week in science. 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 This week in science. This week in science. 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 This week in 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 science.
Hello, world. It is the after show. We are done with the show. Kai, are you still awake?
He's definitely still awake.
Awake. It's a school night. I said, Kai, can I trust you to read books and then go lie down and close your eyes and go to sleep? Yes, mommy.
Oopsie.
Tomorrow morning's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Make it happen. I also I have your files for the I have files. I have files and files and files and things to do.
You have my video files and you have my calendar files.
Exactly. I have a lot of things to do. I'm going to make a calendar order form order button that will be coming soon.
I'm almost done. I have 2 left.
Ooh, we will get there.
Yeah,
The calendar will come.
It'll definitely be in production by the end of the month, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
That will be great.
Yeah. So I'll price out a couple different suppliers. I really like this stuff, but there's other suppliers that I will look into as well. The nice thing about this is that it stores all of my info. So it's a lot easier to make the new calendar because it has all my holidays in it already. I just need to check the dates and then it's good. But
just check and make sure so you don't have to re-enter everything. Yeah. That took a lot of work initially, but yeah.
Today is Butterfly and Hummingbird Day. It is also World Virus Appreciation Day.
Oh. I appreciate viruses. Did Justin just come in here and say "ah" and then disappear again?
Yes, he did.
It's how I do.
It's how you do. Mm-hmm. How you do.
Mm. Oh. World Teachers Day is Friday.
Yay for teachers.
Also, I will say that on our calendar, it does say that we have no live show on Halloween.
Does it
I
really?
think because it was on Halloween, we all decided, Justin and I were like, we're not going to do it. We're going to have our kids.
mean, I can definitely take a bye, especially considering that my front room is where I do this from, and I'm pretty sure trick-or-treating is a thing that happens in my complex.
Which
I
would be
might get
fine.
interrupted
No, but
a
I think
fair amount of times.
I think that would be fine. I think if a Halloween show, you're disappearing to disperse candy every once in a while, is in the
Nice.
spirit of the Halloween show. I think that
That's
would be
true.
perfectly acceptable.
We could also do a show the day before.
Yes. I like that option.
What do you think about that, Kiki?
The day before?
Yeah.
A show that no,
Night before? No.
not
So-
for me.
So here's what I've lost track of. Because there's been this thing about staying on the course for the birthday 700 club.
Yeah.
But does the Halloween show ruin that, or is that already accounted for?
So we
Okay,
did
let me-
90. So
Let me-
91.
I have it all mapped out, actually. Hold on. I made run sheets. I haven't shared them with you yet, but I've made run
Wow.
sheets for the rest of the years.
Even my run sheets are embargoed. My goodness.
So
Run sheets are embargoed.
if
That's
we
right.
skip, so
Here we
this
go.
might actually be,
November and December. So
so if we skip,
considering skipping,
our very
Uh,
last normal show of the year will be show 700.
yeah. So November gets us through 600. Wait, what? 698. This, let's see. 31st. Did I call that 694? I did. So we might change that.
Mhm.
So if we skip, then that, let's see. That will be 696. And that will make that episode 697. And what today was Thanksgiving? The 22nd.
Second. Yeah.
We'll probably do that
Yeah.
without much trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just that one.
So then the very last show, normal show of the year, December 19th, will be show 700. And then we have the next one, the 26th, is our year in review. So then that would be
698, 699. No, 700 would be on the 19th of December.
yeah.
Yeah, is that
So on our calendar it says the 26th would be our
all
year in review.
the year in review? Exactly. I get it.
So that might be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, last show of the last normal, but it won't be a normal show, but it'll be a last normal show of the year on the 19th. I did like the idea of having it on doing the birthday show, the 700.
Yeah, that's true too.
But we'd have to do a Halloween show,
Yeah.
which I'm not going to do. So
Yeah.
Blair, you would have to do it.
Yeah.
What do we vote, everybody? I mean, we have a birthday show, and then we have the 700 Club, and then
That's
we
not
have the
bad.
year in
It's not a
review.
bad thing.
It's a celebratory
Mhm.
December, right?
Celebratory December, yeah.
And our year in review is like, what is that? That's the
Wait, what day is the birthday show? What number?
12th.
Okay.
12/12.
It's my actual birthday.
It is.
So then we're going to be doing the day after Twistmas show.
It is the 26th. Yes.
Yeah.
The day
Boxing
after.
Day.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Boxing Day is the 26th.
When,
Mhm.
when
Oh, the 27th is Visit the Zoo Day. Every day is Visit the Zoo Day for
shouldn't it
me.
be? Why would it? That would be weird if zoos only opened one day a year.
There's just a national
But there
Visit
would be
Your
a
Local Zoo
big
Day.
crowd.
Yeah, that would not be the best educational output, I would
No.
have to say.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at a preschool today. It was pretty fun.
What animals did you bring to the preschoolers?
On this very day, we brought a ball python
Oh, they're always fun.
and an African hedgehog
Oh,
and a European ferret.
and a what?
European ferret.
Oh,
Yeah. So the preschool lesson is all about how animals move through their habitats. And so the kids get to like pretend to dig like a ferret after they meet the ferret and stuff like that. And it's so fun. It's fun training new staff on it because they always try to shove in all these animal facts when they're teaching me like, look at all the things I know. And I have to be like, okay. So here are our learning expectations for 2-year-olds. Okay. So like,
2-year-olds.
very basic, just like, is it alive? Check. Okay. Like, do you have things in common with it? Check. Can you take perspective with it? Check. Okay, great. Okay. Can you say something that you learned? Okay, great. Do you remember who you met today? Okay, great. Okay. That's like it. Everything else is like bonus, right? But it's building blocks. Like those are the building blocks for conservation is empathy, perspective taking, that and being able to share what you learned are the building blocks that turn in to these more in-depth conversations when we have when they're in 3rd grade, 4th grade, middle school, high school, whatever it is. But it's so funny to have to try to be like, okay, don't tell them that snakes shed their skin. Too much. Just like it slithers and it eats mice and it's alive. And like,
It's
okay,
alive.
great. Good.
Yeah.
Moving on. Okay. Because we'll visit high school classrooms and the kids ask me, is it alive?
no.
Can it feel? Like, yes, this is a real thing that if students have not been exposed to animals prior, they have these questions. This is a real thing. And you can't talk to a high school student about, being green and fighting climate change and fighting for habitat, and stuff like that if they don't understand basic needs of animals and basic things they have in common, right? So like it's all building blocks. It's very
So my 5-year-old
yeah
is wants to be a zoologist or did at 5. I don't know. Maybe she's moved on.
Yeah, she might
at 4, at 3 and 4. That's what she wanted to be a zoo doctor, not a vet. She didn't want just cats and dogs. She wanted to be a zoo doctor.
Yeah, she would be an exotic animal veterinarian.
Yeah. But she would have been though soaking up your assistant's knowledge like a sponge and repeating it. So be careful because
absolutely.
The ones that are the future Blairs that the more you hit them with, the more they got early that they're going to build on those building blocks.
Yeah, but in a classroom of 30 of them,
I know.
You do what you can. But there are also, I teach them to, ask questions, see what your responses are, and go from there. Because there are some preschool classes that are that can handle things that are technically like 3rd grade level conversations. It varies from group to group and student to student and all of that. But usually the preschool lessons start a lot lower on the kind of like information totem.
Bragging on his child a little bit, granted. But at 4, we've been to the zoo so many times. She'd met all of the animals as they get, they bring out different animals on different days. Sometimes it's the ball python, sometimes it's the hedgehog, sometimes it's the turtle, and she'd met everything that they have that they bring out to the public. And we were we showed up one day and there was some sort of, it was raining. So there was like an indoor like learning event thing that they were there. So we wandered in there and my 4-year-old took over the presentation as they started to do like, the building blocks throughout this. She got up and started going, And also, this can do this, and then the snake sheds its skin, and they eat rats, and the turtle, you can pet it here, but not there, and like all this, like she just, and it likes to eat the daisy flowers. It's its favorite snack, the turtle. Like she was just going, and actually, it's a tortoise. It's not a turtle. You said it wrong. Like she was just took over the thing and just became that zookeeper that she had been wanting to be for all these other kids. It was, and I like wandered off a little bit because I didn't want to be like, well, now maybe we should let the event go on. I was like, I'm just gonna let her go and pretend she's parentless for a while. I'm gonna hide over here in the corner and just let her go and pretend. I'm gonna pretend I'm looking over here at this poster that's interesting while she's taking over this presentation. And then later I'll be like, oh, honey, we should probably let them get on with what they were trying to do. Yeah.
Well, she only has about 7 years until she can volunteer at the zoo. So soon.
So soon. Sorry, I am uploading images. I'm making order things for pre-ordering.
Yes.
I'm trying to make this happen.
Yes. That's great. How exciting.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. Do you guys want to see what I've done so far?
Of course they do.
Show and tell.
I'm making a button.
A button.
Button.
So
yeah.
I've drawn all of them. I just have 3 left to color. So here's the cover.
Nice.
Okay.
Good.
There's my turtle.
So question.
Mm-hmm.
You know the question. I don't actually have to ask it.
Yeah. Did I wear my glasses?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the question.
So I have been wearing my glasses to pick the colors before I use them.
Yes.
But then I feel like I do better art when I don't have like lenses in between me and what I'm doing. Especially when I'm doing this like very dainty pointillism stuff. So I have shed
but
them
like that
out
one
of
right
that.
there. That way, wait, go back
To my sheephead, California sheephead.
So what I can see in this one already is the so many greens.
Yeah.
Is that now green isn't just a green. It's I'm going to use a few greens.
Mm-hmm.
This is an wow.
There you go. Yeah, this is definitely post glasses. Here, this one is pre glasses.
Okay, actually, there's a good fair amount of distinction of greens in that one too. Not as bad.
This one is pre glasses. And then and this one is pre glasses. I did 3 before I got them.
So that one I would have guessed was post also. Like
the spoon bill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A nice spoon bill.
And then thank you. And then so I had the sheep head, and then I have my Chihuahua mountain king snake.
Huh.
There we go. And then I have one of my personal favorites, the wolf eel.
Whoa.
It's one of my favorites for sure. My good old mantid here. And then Goliath frog.
Oddly named because it is the smallest frog.
No, it's huge.
No, is it?
It's huge. It's the largest frog. You're wrong. You're wrong.
Wrong.
What? Am I missing one? What the? One.
What would it be?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I know what I'm missing. My latest installment. Kiwi.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, that's a dang fuzzy looking kiwi.
It's a cute kiwi.
Mm-hmm.
Cute-wee. He's living in a little fern forest.
Can I request one? Is that a possibility?
Well, all my drawings are done for this year.
But can I make a special request?
Okay. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but yeah, you can make a request.
I want you to steal the woolly mammoth from your mother and send it to me.
No. No. You got one. What did you get? The dragonfly.
I've got two. I got the dragonfly and the rat. I love them both.
But you want the woolly mammoth.
I want that one.
So here are the ones I still have to color. I have my bison.
That's going to be a good one. I
have my rhino.
That's a nice looking rhino.
And Dimetrodon.
Wow, you threw that. So this is like another thing I was wondering. Like this is I think a theme for a future version of this.
I have an extinct animal every year.
So one thing I thought would be interesting one year is to do a calendar of creatures that were found during this year of a TWIS, right? Or the last year's TWIS. So for instance, we'd have the giant elephant bird. There's one that we didn't do. Wait, hang on. I've got
the Titan. The Titan bird.
The Titan bird.
Something
right?
Titan.
Where is
Volombe Titan?
Volombe.
Yeah. Volombe.
There's another one. Luda Ludafisk? Luda Mahadi Mafube. This is it's like an early sauropod. It's a 200 million year old dinosaur that was discovered in South Africa, which was going to be one of my stories. It got cut short. Double the size of an African elephant. Very interesting because it looks very much like a brontosaurus, except it's still kind of got hands for front feet. Meaning, even though this thing is huge, it could probably stand up on its hind legs and grasp, but it still used them to walk on too. Yeah. It wasn't a direct ancestor of the sauropods, but they had a very recent common ancestor. But it was that starting to supersize dinosaur with the thick legs and the long necks and the long legs. And he still kind of had these grasper hands. But it'd be sort of like a fun, and it could even be, we could even throw in there a new species of what have you that was discovered in the jungles or suburbs of wherever stand. Right?
That would be pretty fun. Yeah. For lots of frogs, lots of birds.
Yeah. Dinosaurs would be in that mix.
Yeah.
But I'll request whenever that comes up. I want the elephant bird.
Elephant bird. Okay. Also, you can just buy a woolly mammoth lumbar pillow,
I might have to.
September is always the month that I put the extinct animal in because September 1st is Species Requiem Day. So that is the day to kind of give pause and acknowledge extinct animals.
So is the dinosaur going into September? Because I feel like the extinct animal should be one that went extinct in the human.
No, I had the T-Rex on there before. And I put the woolly mammoth on there.
I didn't notice this pattern. Now I feel like there's another layer.
There's
other layers to this calendar. I had no idea.
So let's see. Is there a reason for my hornbill in December? I think it's because it's World Soil Day. And like soils in rainforests are really unusual. Okay.
That one's already the first one. I already feel like you're reaching.
I was reaching. October is cephalopod month. So, and October 8th is Octopus Day. So I put my cephalopod there.
Okay.
Species Requiem Day, I already mentioned. August is, where is it? It's World Lion Day. And then World Tiger Day is like right at the end of July. So it's like all the cats are end of July, early August. So I put the tiger there.
But in the wrong month for tigers. I'm just
Shark Awareness Day is in July.
got a shark.
Let's see. Oh, June is World Oceans Day. So of course I did that. Let's see.
You are pretty well themed up here.
Oh, it's National Shrimp Day on May 10th. So my mantis shrimp. Let's see, April. Oh, April has Earth Day and Save the Frogs Day. Save the Frogs Day. So I did a salamander, close relative. Again, reaching.
That was reaching.
World
you don't need
Water Day is March 22nd. So I put the tardigrade there.
You can put the tardigrade anywhere. They're all over the place.
That's true. They are all over the place. World Pangolin Day, February 17th. So I had my pangolin.
Pangolin.
That was perfect.
Pangolin.
Then, Squirrel Appreciation Day, January 21st.
Yeah.
There you go.
What
I
a
do my best.
What a coincidence.
Not a coincidence. Intentional.
Planning.
You should see, I spend like too long switching them around, figuring out what the best organization is. Eric in Alaska in the chat room. Yes, I tried a Tasmanian devil this year and failed. They are tough to draw. So I will try again. It's on my list of things that I want to conquer, but it did not pan out. I also tried a Tasmanian tiger this year, and that similarly did not work out. It was a massive fail, but it's okay. Sometimes we have to accept our failures and move on.
Do you have it?
No, I think I ditched it.
No, you know where it is.
Maybe. Where's my art bag? I don't know where the bag is.
Look under the lawn chair in the living room.
Yeah. Actually, I do know where it is. Do you really want to see it? For real?
Oh, yeah, I knew you knew where it was. Fake looking around.
Calling her out.
Well, I mean, I get not wanting to show something you're not proud of, but that I think it's fun. I mean, I'm not going to show any of my.
Yes, that's better.
Everything I do has been perfect. Of course, I've never made a piece of art that I wasn't extremely proud of. Oh wait, this didn't turn out. This was a Nietzsche thing, kind of.
Alrighty, everyone. I do believe there is an active link on the webpage.
Oh, yeah. Here you go, Justin.
Okay, well, now I don't know what the real animal looks like. That's part of the problem. But that looks pretty good.
No, it's not good.
Oh.
I could do better, is the thing.
Yeah.
All about that. Could do better.
But hold it up again. I like the jowly the perspective and
okay. So there's like the is there. And then here's actually what they look like. Or looked, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, you know what? I did kind of think like you'd drawn the body a little weird. But now that I see the body of the actual creature,
it was odd looking.
It's an odd looking critter.
Yeah,
that
look at that, buddy.
Yeah. That's just kind of strange.
That's part of it. That's the problem with the Tasmanian devil too, is like I wanted to draw them with the mouth open, but their body and mouth look ridiculous when you do that. Yeah. They look like they're just mouths with legs. Like even more than the toad.
So I'm looking at that like it's a weird looking creature, but I'm wondering now if it's just a weird looking creature because I've never really seen one,
Well,
or
that's a good
maybe only
question.
seen one once in a
Yeah,
really long time. But if
food
they
for
were
thought, I suppose.
they were all over at the zoo, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's normal.
So Kiki, there's a link.
There is a link.
It's a
So
button.
exciting.
It's a button.
There's a button.
Does it
I
make a
haven't clicked it. I haven't clicked
Look
it. Does
at
it
look at
take
my
you
little
to an
toad.
order?
Oh, she's already clicked it. She already found it. Click the button.
I haven't clicked the button.
Oh, it goes straight to PayPal. That's great.
Nice.
Should be good. Should be good.
Okay, humans, it's past my rotational Earth time.
Yeah, I think Kai actually fell asleep.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
And now I have to take him all the way upstairs.
Oh, it's getting harder to carry, I bet.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Well, that's exciting.
What do I need to do? I have to make sure.
Right.
I think the thing I have to figure out. Seller tools. That's what it is. I just need to figure out if my shipments are mailing. I have it all set up appropriately. No idea. I don't want to pay for a real business account. What I'm trying to avoid doing. PayPal tries to suck money out of you every way you can.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah, they do. Anyway, hey, chat room. Yeah, PayPal buttons, twist.org. The calendar. The calendar, I believe, is now available.
Yes.
Did you see? Does it work? It
I
should
clicked
work.
on the button and it took me to PayPal and it said it was $20.
It's $20. There it is. Takes you to the places. Did Justin leave without leaving?
No, he's here. I see his shirt.
Wait,
Is he lying down?
Yeah.
I'm still.
He's reclining. He's slowly reclining down to a laying position.
Yeah, I need to do that too.
Mhm.
It would be good. Is there anything else that we need to discuss before it's going?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okie dokie. I'll figure out if I've got my shipping stuff set up appropriately. They keep changing all of their links.
Oh no!
Looks like we have our first sale already.
What?
Somebody in the chat room. Oh, Ed. Ed just bought a calendar.
Yay! Thanks, Ed. That's awesome. Let me see if I got that email. It should email me and tell me that it happened. Look at that. I got emailed. I've been alerted.
How great. Thanks, Ed. Tell your friends. Everyone, tell your friends. Buy them as gifts.
Yeah, I need to make sure I've got the shipping and handling on that. I'm appropriate. Well, we can gift part of it. Because every year the cost of shipping goes up, and then we end up eating a little bit on the shipping.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that's something that I need to make sure. That's what I need to make sure is I've got the shipping set up appropriately.
Yeah.
But Ed, you're good.
Yeah.
You're in. You're good. It's like
Solid.
it's like the early order discount.
Yeah, there you go.
It's it's also there's the long time listener discount.
That's
Yeah,
right. There's
that's-
that also.
Friend of the show discount. All that good stuff. Hey, I had a question. Oh, I know what what I'd ask you. How did the taping, filming, shoot day thing go?
Oh, it went really well. I think. I mean, they seemed pretty happy.
Nice.
So, yeah, a couple of days of many stories for What on Earth. I was very exhausted at the end of the days, but it was good. Yeah.
When, where, how, what's the...
So it'll be the next season that will come out. So I'm not sure when it comes out. I'm going to guess it'll be in 2019, early 2019. Maybe late this year, the episodes they've started working on. I don't when does What on Earth?
Well, we know we have to produce at least 3 calendars. So thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah, Noodle just bought 2.
Woohoo!
That's awesome. Yeah, what channel is that on, Kiki?
Science Channel. Science. Science.
Science.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fun show. Oh, here's the What on Earth season 5. Science Channel. Maybe IMDb is the good one to look at. Oh, hey, I was in that episode. Ghost Ship, I think, maybe. I'll find out. Oh, and now my computer's like, I don't want to talk to you.
Ooh, 4 calendars.
4 calendars! Yes!
Oh, great.
Awesome.
We just sell 96 more.
Mm-hmm. January. Okay, so let's see if I can season 2017. January. So I'm gonna guess the next season will come out in January.
Okay, so that's right around the corner.
Yeah. That's when it looks like it all comes out in January. Look at that. Payment from Ed Dyer. Woo-hoo. What other recent activity is going to pop up here? Got Paul. Many calendars. Paris. We have Paris. Paul. Ed. Who else wants to buy a calendar? Who wants to pre-order the calendars to make sure that we actually order them this year? And that Blair finishes the work.
Well, I'm inking one Friday morning.
Yes.
I'm going to ink another one I'm going to finish it this weekend. I'm going to do 2 more this weekend. So they'll be done. And then I'll get the, I'll go back to the copy shop to get my high quality scans. And then I get to start tooling around with the layout. And then we order. So it'll definitely get done soon.
Calendars. It is the time.
Mm-hmm.
We must get people having the calendars.
I have a question, Blair.
Mm-hmm.
This pre-selecting of the palette intrigues me.
Mm-hmm.
Because your vision in the now is still without the ability to see all of the colors.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not wearing the Enchroma glasses. But from when you wear the Enchroma glasses, when you're painting, what's the overlap? What's the memory of what the color is that you saw through those lenses compared to...
Here's what I do. I put on the glasses, And I'll pick an example. So for example, let's say my buddy the wolf eel here. So I selected the palette that I thought would work well for him with the glasses on. I picked all the blues and grays and stuff and made a pile. And then I picked all the greens and made a pile. I did that with the glasses on. Then I do this. So before I use a color, I scribble it.
Okay.
Next to another color that I know I just used. And so I can kind of keep track of like, oh, that one's too similar. I don't want to put them next to each other. Because ultimately I still want it to look good and distinct even to my limited vision. So like,
right, but what I'm getting at though is like when you're painting with this color that you selected with the glasses on and that color looked a certain way, how much of the memory of that color is there while you're painting and not being able to see it?
None.
Okay. Interesting.
A lot of it is based in memory, I've got to say. So like,
well, that's the thing though. It's like you had memorized the names that people had told you were the colors for articles of clothing, for instance, right?
So like, so for this one, like if I put it under really bright light, I can see that like this is green and this is brown here. I don't know if you can tell that with the little pointillism dots. So like there's green and brown here, but I can't really tell when I take it out of super bright light. So I went around, I'll use each color once. So I will go through and I'll take my brown and I'll make all of my little brown segments. And then I'll pick up my green and I'll use all of my dark green. And I'll pick up my light green and I'll use all of my light green. Only when I double back around do I need to adjust my vision, put on the glasses, use brighter lights, whatever it is, test things out, figure out exactly what it is, which doesn't always happen. A lot of the time I can finish what I'm doing without having to double back and pick a color I've already used. And so just, making sure that like process of elimination, like I've used that pen already, means I don't have to worry about making mistakes.
But the thing I'm more getting at is like right now without looking at my pants. I'm not asking you, but without me looking at my own pants, I know what color they are. I can picture them because I've seen the color that they are enough times that I can, in my head, I have that color and I have it on the pants and I can see it. So what I'm kind of getting is how much of the is recent memories of what a color is. Like, okay, so like if you were to go shopping, this
might help answer your question. This is what I'm dealing with. So it doesn't really matter what I remember. Like I'm picking up 6 different pens that have different caps and right. So maybe not in the drawing, but if you took it outside of the drawing, if you want to go shopping and buy an article of clothing while picking it out and while wearing these glasses, right?
What I'd be curious to know is how much when you were wearing that same article of clothing without the glasses, you were picturing it as you saw it in like the store. Like there's some point where you're going to encounter something as its color or with its color with the glasses that you'll later encounter without. And I'm wondering how much of the color it was that you'll still picture in mind, or if that if the color
I don't think so. Yeah.
The color memory fades pretty quick.
Yeah. So the other day I was wearing a shirt that I've owned for years and I looked down and I went, this shirt is pink. I had no idea. I thought it was like peach and brown, but this thing had like hot pink in it. And it was really vibrant. And the whole time I was outside for like a couple hours. And like every time I looked to one side, I was like, oh yeah, this shirt is pink. How cool. And like, it became just like, yep, this shirt is pink. And then I hung it up, and I picked it out today. I almost wore it today, and I pulled it out, and I was like, that looks so brown. Like, I know.
So the memory
I
of
saw
it
it as
didn't
pink, but, like,
infringe upon it. Okay.
No.
Ah,
No.
interesting.
It is weird too. It's like it's harder for me to know what is reality, because also I don't know how what I'm seeing with the glasses on relates to real vision, because to me it feels like everything's super bright, and when somebody who has normal color vision puts them on, it's super bright to them too. So, like, am I just seeing what a normal person sees because it's brighter to me, or am I seeing this hyper color vision that a person with normal color can see? That's the question. And we can't know.
So we can to an extent. Okay. We can to an extent in that people with color vision can identify the same colors.
Mm-hmm.
This is the different green from that different green from this different green from, and some people are just really good at it and can do another layer. Like where I see a dozen greens, there's somebody who can pick out 74 greens.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there's somebody else who can like find those layers between them. So when you're talking about somebody, and I haven't tried them on, so I don't know how much more intense the colors are or how different they are from regular color vision. What could be an increase in intensity for somebody who's already got color vision might not actually be that far off what they're normally seeing. So, and I've talked about this before, but people with color vision can have slightly different opinions about what a color is. One might see it a little darker, one might see it a little lighter. That sort of thing can happen too.
Perception.
But I don't know that I would doubt that what you're seeing isn't what other people see. It's because it's always that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. No, that's true. But it's very jarring. Like it feels like hypercolor. It feels like neon. Like when I was wearing them outside the other day, I kept saying it felt like I had stepped into a blacklight painting. Like it was very bright and it's very distracting. And I understand why you're not supposed to wear them when you drive, because it's very distracting.
But can't that just be from not having color vision the whole time? Because like remember we were talking about the origin story, and I think this is the true story, the origin, where the guy put on the original version of the glasses. He lent them to a friend playing frisbee golf, and suddenly it wasn't just like, oh, those orange cones now got loud, but what are those orange cones doing there? And it's because they were the boundaries, but they'd always been there. And so maybe they were a little more intense than they would appear to a person with color vision. But maybe that's because orange is always there. And so, it was also interesting. I was listening to a Radio Lab thing on color, and right along these lines. But somebody had figured out that what was missing. There was no blue in any of Homer's work, actually in any Greek literature. Like the sea, like they were missing greens. Like the sea was wine colored, and it was this weird. They went and counted color usage through all this, and they found this really narrow palette of color. And somebody had theorized maybe the Greeks were colorblind. Maybe all of them were colorblind, and that's why they were like, there's a lot of black, a lot of white, and everything else is red or gray.
Or is it just a translation issue?
Could be a little bit of a translation issue, but if you have
do they have a word for blue that does?
But they didn't have a word for blue, and nobody mentions the sky as blue, and And part of it was, though, that they think it was may have actually been the thing, is that they just hadn't invented the word blue yet. And the sky would be called white, which you could kind of throw it into the white palette too. It's bright, but when it got identified as blue, suddenly this is blue, this flower is blue, these over here are blue. Like everything became blue because it wasn't a form of a green, It wasn't in a green blue spectrum could just be one thing. And so part of, I think, what maybe the glasses are doing are adding vocabulary to your eye language. So now suddenly you're seeing this blue, this pink, that they may be screaming louder to you, simply because they didn't have a voice before. I don't know. I kind of feel like I want to go. Is there a way to be? Can I get colorblind glasses?
Well, they
be
have.
Yeah.
They have, I think, on the Enchroma site, they have like side-by-side images to make it look so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah. But I want actually glasses that I could wear for like a month nonstop.
Well, get some sunglasses. If you get the sunglasses that are like really dark that have brown lenses, that's pretty similar.
Okay.
Because you're kind of destroying your contrast.
Okay. So if I got these glasses and I wore them for like a month or two, like almost nonstop, and then took them off, I wonder how much color would yell at me.
Yeah, maybe.
How distracting. It'd be sort of an interesting experiment. Not one I'm gonna do because I love seeing colors, but one that because there's the other one too. Like, right? Have you ever heard about the upside down glasses?
Yes.
Yeah, that your brain
flips
adjusts.
them around.
Your brain, you wear these upside down glasses constantly for like, I think it's only a couple of weeks in these experiments, and it flips the world back right side up again.
Yeah, your brain is very powerful.
It is. I wonder what would happen if somebody with color vision were to wear those, intentionally try to color deprive their vision.
Yeah.
For weeks on end. Would it start to make inferences on that palette? Would it start to infer color on it?
JalX in the YouTube chat room says they just got their Enchroma glasses last week. It's
awesome.
Trippy.
Woo!
Glad you're talking about them.
I am on their homepage right now.
You are?
Yeah.
Let me see that.
Checking out the balloon back and forth.
Wait, I'm looking at the wrong thing.
No. It's just below Enchroma in the news. There's Enchroma stories. I'm right in the middle.
That's awesome. We have to get your. I do need to get your.
Hey, did we ever determine whether or not they work on that color number test thingy?
No.
Here's Blair.
There I am. Being silly, as I am wont to do.
Oh, look, you're famous. You're on the front page.
There she is. There's
Blair. That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
It's very me.
You're also doing the thing they tell you not to do. Stop flipping the glasses.
No, it was before I put them on. It was like anticipatory. I was like looking at the flowers without them, and then I slid them up
and stared
to look at them.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
You're a good poster child for everything.
Oh, yeah.
For everything?
For everything.
Well, no, I mean for everything that they're. Yes, for everything. for absolutely everything. We have Dr. Justin's Not a Real Doctor ad agency featuring Blair.
Yeah.
She's the model for everything. We put her on the cover of everything. We have one model. It's Blair.
There we go. I like hippos. Not too fond of pandas or squirrels.
But it's that same picture that we use for every ad too. That's what's funny. It's the picture we use.
There are.
And I have a bunch of jokes I'm not gonna do. Okay, I have to go. Like,
What were you saying though, Kiki? Real quick.
Nothing. I was just looking at the Enchroma website and looking at. They've got a blog and all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of stuff, neat stuff there.
All right.
I'm tired also.
Say goodnight, Justin.
Night, Justin. Say goodnight, Blair.
Good night, Blair.
Good night, Kiki.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode and for our after show discussion, where I didn't discuss much, but got you a link for our calendar pre-orders. So know that you can pre-order them. And thanks to the wonders of technology, I'm going to attempt to interview our guest Friday morning, and I will hopefully do it through YouTube again. So I'll send out a link. If you want to, I'll send out an announcement through social media if you're interested in watching the interview live. But otherwise, I will take it and edit it into the audio version of the podcast. So we're good to go all the way around.
How fun.
Great. How fun. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful science-filled week.